Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Agnanathimiranandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Kakshirunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Okay. And Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 9, Verse 7. Ekastvam eva bhagavan idam ekastvam eka bhagavan idam atmasvaktya maya maya chayorugunaya mahadadyashesham पृष्ट्वानु विश्य पुरुषस् तदसद्गुणेषु नानेवदारुषु विभावस्सु वद् विभासि. My Lord, you are the Supreme One, but by your different energies, you appear differently in the spiritual and material worlds. You create the total energy of the material world by your external potency. And after creation, you enter within the material world as the Super Soul. You are the Supreme Person. And through the temporary modes of material nature, you create varieties of manifestation. Just as fire entering into wood of different shapes burns brilliantly in different varieties. Dhruva Maharaj realized that the Supreme Absolute Truth, Personality of Godhead, acts through his different energies. Not that he becomes void or impersonal and thus becomes all pervading. We should understand that this is realization because when the Lord touched his forehead with the conch shell, then Dhruva Maharaj actually achieved realization of the Supreme Absolute Truth. These are his realized statements, not some theoretical statements. Realized means he actually experienced this, he saw this. Mm. Just like Vyasadeva saw Krishna and then Maya behind him. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj actually saw this truth. So he is saying, and so Prabhupada is saying, okay, he did not see some void. So he saw the person, Supreme Person. The Mayavadi philosopher thinks that the absolute truth being spread throughout the cosmic manifestation has no personal form. This is just one of the features of the Supreme Lord, that he is Sarvavyapi, that he is spread everywhere, is just one of the features. That's not everything. That's like Ekhamshena Sthito Jagat. It's like a very just one amsha of Krishna's unlimited opulence. But here Dhruva Maharaj, upon realization of the Vedic conclusion, see, in realization, is you're spread all over the cosmic manifestation by your energy. So it is just by your energy that you are spread everywhere, but you are also personally present in your Dhamma. This energy is basically spiritual, but because it acts in the material world temporarily, it is called Maya or illusory energy. So this is also spiritual because everything coming from Krishna and Krishna is spiritual, so everything is spiritual. But the role it plays, because of the role this energy plays, it is called Maya or illusory. That's why in somewhere else in first canto Prabhupada writes that when a devotee surrenders to Krishna, is the same illusory energy. Now it starts acting as internal energy. Like external energy starts acting as internal energy. Because actually external energy is just it's just a function that the original Divya Shakti, spiritual energy, is actually taken up this function of creating illusion and holding uh, the conditioned souls in this material world. But when the soul actually uh, he realizes and then he changes his ways, not to try and enjoy sense gratification, but to please Krishna. That means he is reformed. As he is reforming, then the same illusory energy starts acting as internal energy, and then uh, helps the devotee to actually make progress. In other words, for everyone but the devotees, the Lord's energy acts as internal and external energy. See, for everyone but devotees. For the devotees, it will act as internal energy. Dhruva Maharaj could understand this fact very nicely, and he could understand also that the energy and the energetic are one and the same. The energy cannot be separated from the energetic. The identity of the Supreme Person of Godhead in the feature of Paramatma or Super Soul is admitted herein. His original spiritual energy enlivens the material energy, and thus the dead body appears to have life force. Hmm. Widest philosophers think that under certain material conditions, symptoms of life occur in the material body. But the fact is that the material body cannot act on its own. Even a machine needs separate energy, electricity, steam, etc. It is stated in this verse that the material energy acts in varieties of material bodies, just as fire burns differently in different wood according to the size and quality of the wood. So we should simply understand that because of the presence of spirit, material energy is able to actually act, otherwise it's dead matter. Mm, the body is dead matter. So only because of the presence of the soul that actually the dead matter is functioning. In the case of devotee, the same energy is transformed into spiritual energy. This is possible because the energy is originally spiritual, not material. As it is said, Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta. The original energy inspires the devotee, and thus he engages all his bodily limbs in the service of the Lord. So we have to engage all our bodily limbs in the service of the Lord, including the mind. So there are two types of services, one of the body done by the body and the other done by the mind. So Archana process of our physical service is done on the platform of the body, and then Shravanam Kirtanam is done on the platform of the mind. Which is why this Shravanam Kirtanam is so important. If somebody is simply engaging in physical service, that means they're just engaging the body, but the mind is not being engaged. So they will find it very difficult to make progress. So if Shravanam Kirtanam is happening properly, then mind becomes engaged, body will automatically be ready to get engaged because mind is the chief sense. And that is the reason why Shravanam Kirtanam is so important. The same energy as external potency engages the ordinary non-devotees in material activities for sense enjoyment. Mm. The same energy, which is originally spiritual, inspires the devotee to engage in service of the Lord. We should mark the difference between Maya and Swadhama. For devotees, the Swadhama acts, whereas in the case of non-devotees, the Maya energy acts. So this is the realization of Dhruva Maharaj, who is the supreme person, how his energy is working, etc. etc. त्वद्वत्तया वयुनयेदम् अचष्टविश्वं सुप्तप्रबुद्ध इव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्नः तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविदा कथम् अर्थबन्धो. My master, Lord Brahma, is fully surrendered unto you. In the beginning, you gave him knowledge, and thus he could see and understand the entire universe. Just as a person awakens from sleep and visualizes his immediate duties, you're the only shelter of all persons who desire liberation, and you're the friend of all who are distressed. Artha Bandho. Krishna is Artha Bandho. That means he is the friend of the distressed. How therefore can a learned person who has perfect knowledge ever forget you? Vismaryate Kritavida, by a learned person. Katham. How can he forget? How can a learned person who has perfect knowledge ever forget you? Because you're the only shelter of all persons who desire liberation. Okay, I'm not desiring liberation. I want to get rid of all the material distresses. Yes, you are the friend of such people. So how can anybody, either somebody is wanting to get rid of all distresses or somebody wants liberation, either way, how can they forget you? Supreme Person of Godhead cannot be forgotten even for a moment by his surrendered devotees. So this we can understand is another characteristic of surrendered devotee, or actually the chief characteristic, we could say. Everything else is ancillary, peripheral. So surrendered devotees never forget Krishna, even for a moment. The devotee understands that the Lord's causeless mercy is beyond his estimation. He cannot know how much he is benefited by the grace of the Lord. The more a devotee engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, the more encouragement is supplied by the energy of the Lord. See, actually, this is a very, very nice statement. The devotee understands that the Lord's causeless mercy is beyond his estimation. He cannot know how much he is benefited. Actually, we don't look at it this way, right? We always keep thinking there is always some deficiency in the Lord's mercy. We always think that Lord could have given us more, could have given us better situation, better opportunity, etc., etc. But actually, a devotee actually thinks, oh no, no, his causeless mercy is so much. I can't even imagine how much he's benefited me. I'm worthless, but he's still benefited me. And this is the mood of a devotee. And the more a devotee engages himself in devotional service, the more encouragement is supplied by the energy of the Lord. Uh, uh, so, the more a devotee engages, the more encouragement is supplied. So, he wants to do more. The Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that to those who are constantly engaged in devotional service with love and affection, Tatami Buddhi Yogam Tam, Supreme Personality of Godhead gives intelligence from within, and thus they make further progress. And I've said this before that initially it might just be our mind, because unless we are constantly engaged in devotional service with love and affection, actually we should try and understand this. See, a devotee who is constantly engaged in devotional service with love and affection, which means that he's all the time thinking about serving the Lord, all the time. And as a result, there is nothing that is coming to his mind. There are no material thoughts coming to his mind at all. Meaning he's not thinking about himself, or whatever, me, my family, etc., etc., my material condition. No, he's simply thinking about how to serve Krishna with love and affection in a better and better way. For such a devotee, Supreme Lord gives intelligence from within. Paramatma is anyway giving intelligence to the mm, conditioned soul also, according to his previous desires. Mm. Smriti Gnanam Apohanam Cha. And so, knowledge, intelligence, remembrance, everything Paramatma is anyway given. But for a devotee, Paramatma now uh, he is actually now actually Supreme Personality of Godhead only gives that intelligence to come to him to make further progress. But till we come to the stage of constantly engaging in devotional service, we should not assume that some speculation of the mind has Supreme Lord's direction. That is why I have told this before also. Till that time, we should actually be under the guidance of more advanced devotees who can distinguish between the acts of the mind and actually the instruction of the Supreme Lord. Being so encouraged, the devotee can never forget at any moment the personality of Godhead. Being so encouraged, because he is being given intelligence. The devotee is recognizing it, and so he is encouraged. Oh, Supreme Lord is giving me intelligence. Uh, Supreme Lord is bestowing his mercy on me. So he becomes encouraged. Mm. So now he wants to serve the Lord more and more. So he can never forget the Lord. Such beautiful. I mean, that is why Prabhupada said these are Prabhupada's devotional ecstasies. Actually, if we can understand these statements, we can feel actually the love, the devotion of Srila Prabhupada. Because it's his realizations that he is writing here. Mm. Uh, he always feels obliged to him for having achieved increased power in devotional service by his grace. He always feels obliged. And obliged means he wants to serve more, he wants to dedicate more, he wants to commit more. Saintly persons like Sanaka, Sanatana, and Lord Brahma were able to see the entire universe by the mercy of the Lord through knowledge of the Lord. The example is given that a person may apparently abstain from sleep all day, but as long as he is not spiritually enlightened, he is actually sleeping. He may sleep at night and perform his duties in the daytime. But as long as he does not come to the platform of working in spiritual enlightenment, he is considered to be always sleeping. A devotee therefore never forgets the benefit derived from the Lord. Very beautiful. Mm. Read this purport again. So beautiful. The Lord is addressed here as Artha Bandhu, which means friend of the distressed. Said in Bhagavad Gita, after many, many births, Bhonam Janmanamante, Gnanaman Mam Prapadyate, wise when becomes wise when one surrenders, Prapadyate, unto the Supreme Person of Godhead. The Mayavadi philosopher who does not surrender unto the Supreme Person is understood to be lacking in real knowledge. The devotee in perfect knowledge cannot forget his obligation to the Lord at any moment. This is the mood of a devotee. Cannot forget his obligation to the Lord. Very nice. Nunam vimushtamatayastava mayayate ye tvam bhavapyaya vimokshanam anyahetoho archanti kalpakatarum gunapopabha gunapopabhogyam ichanti yat sparshajam niraye pirinam. Persons who worship you simply for sense gratification of this bag of skin are certainly influenced by your illusory energy. In spite of having you, who are like a desired tree and are the cause of liberation from birth and death, foolish persons such as me desire benedictions from you for sense gratifications. Mm. So people who come to Krishna and worship him for sense gratification, they're just influenced by illusory energy. Dhruva Maharaj is calling such people foolish, and he's including himself, such as me. Why? Because this sense gratification, it is available even for those who live in hellish conditions. The sense gratification is available everywhere. Even a dog on the street is enjoying sense gratification. Even a pig is enjoying sense gratification. Even an ant is enjoying sense gratification. Dhruva Maharaj repented because he had come to the Lord to render devotional service for material profit. He here condemns his attitude. See, coming to Krishna and asking for material benefits is foolish. Dhruva Maharaj is repenting. Oh, what a fool I was. Only due to gross lack of knowledge does one worship the Lord for material profit or for sense gratification. Gross lack of knowledge, because we don't belong to this material world. We are spiritual. Our eternal position is in service of Krishna. We just stuck here in material bondage. And if we worship him for more material profit, we are going to be more materially bound. What kind of intelligence is that? The Lord is like a desired tree. Anyone can have whatever he desires from the Lord. Kama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradi. Anything we want, we can get. Nama chintamani is Krishna's Chaitanya rasa vigraha. Krishna's name itself is Chintamani. But people in general do not know what kind of benediction they should ask for him, from him. So yesterday I was doing a class somewhere and I was talking about who is the Supreme Lord. And then I said, they told this word saying Akama Sarva Kama Va. So I said you can worship Krishna for anything you want. Mm. Then after the class, some very thoughtful devotees came and asked me saying that you said if you ask for material benedictions, then we are going to be materially bound. Then why are you saying that we can ask anything? Mm. I said because I wanted that realization to come from you. Because if I tell you saying that don't worship Krishna for something material, you will not might not be ready to accept. But when it comes to your own mind saying that, oh, no, 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 why should I ask? Because anything I ask material, I'm going to be bound. I mean, just imagine these devotees who are asking this question are just 6 weeks into Krishna consciousness. We just started Gita Sara. In 6 weeks, they're able to understand that it's nonsense to be going to Krishna for material things. Just 6 weeks. So pure they must be that they're able to realize this so soon. Happiness derived from the touch of skin or sensuous happiness is present in the life of hogs and dogs. Such happiness is very insignificant. If a devotee worships the Lord for such insignificant happiness, he must be considered devoid of all knowledge. So obviously a devotee can desire spiritual progress. He can desire devotee association. He can desire, more and more opportunities to serve Krishna. He can desire that Bhagavatam says that that my let my body be in healthy condition so that I can continue to serve the Lord till my last breath. All these are still pure devotional service. Mm. Just because if a devotee is asking Supreme Lord saying that let my health be in good condition so that I can serve you, that's not material. It's completely spiritual because body is the means. Mm. But if somebody asks for any kind of insignificant happiness of this material world, then he's just foolish. Uh, Dhruva Maharaj is saying, I am not saying. Mm. A foolish person. And it sometimes, it really bewilders, saying that why do people actually want material happiness? Mm. Why not spiritual happiness? Why not people ask for spiritual happiness? Mm. In fact, there's a secret. Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, one of the purport saying that somebody who does make spiritual progress also advances materially. Mm. How does he advance materially? Because he's just not attached to anything. And then he starts using everything that he has in Krishna's service. Krishna will give him more, saying that I know this person. Uh, I will give him enough money, he will spend it on me. I'll give him enough knowledge, he will use it in my service. I'll give him enough resources, he will use it for me. So Krishna will give. Because what is the point in giving those resources to somebody who's going to use it for themselves? Krishna will give it to those devotees who will use it in his service. And that is the whole idea. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. Everything belongs to him. Everything has to be used in his service. So Krishna will anyway give. So if we make spiritual progress, materially we progress, but who cares? As in, at that stage, devotees don't care about their material position. Uh, But even after hearing so many things about these, these topics from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, if we still are going behind insignificant material happiness, then that becomes one of the nama aparadas also, aham mama, mm, and no taste for chanting the holy name. Then he must be considered devoid of knowledge. या निर्वृतिस्तनुभृतां तव पादपद्म ध्यानाद्भवज्जनकथा श्रवणेन वा स्यात् सा ब्रह्मणि स्व महिमन्यभि नातमाभूत् किं त्वन्तकासि लुलितात् पततां विमानात्. My Lord, the transcendental bliss derived from meditating upon your lotus feet, not hearing about your glories from pure devotees, is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda, wherein one thinks himself merged in the impersonal Brahman as one with the Supreme. Sayujya Mukti is far beyond that stage. Just what? Just uh, meditating upon Krishna's lotus feet or hearing about his glories from pure devotees. The bliss that one derives, this is not extracting happiness like we do puna puna charvata charvita charvananam. That is trying to extract material happiness. No, but this is experiencing transcendental bliss, which automatically comes down from the spiritual platform. When one meditates on the Supreme Lord, His form, His glories, His name, it's so unlimited that it is far beyond Brahmananda, far beyond. Since Brahmananda is also defeated by the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, then what to speak of the temporary blissfulness of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets? Or what to speak of temporary material happiness, even if it is something derived in the heavenly planet? What is the use of this? Because everything is ended by separating sword of time. Although one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, Vinaya Punyam Artha Lokam Vishanti falls down in due course of time. Uh, just this one verse is good enough for us to understand what is the path of perfection. Mm. So one has to experience this transcendental bliss. If you're not experiencing transcendental bliss from devotional service, there's something wrong we are doing. Because it's the nature of devotion, and that it is because it is internal energy, Hladini Shakti. So it has to give bliss. The transcendental bliss derived from devotional service primarily from Shravanam Kirtanam, not by Archanam, not by some any other activity, not by physical service. It is a mental service that is given so much importance. And unfortunately, this simple topic, concept is not understood by devotees. So they just engage in so many services, physical services running around, but that will just keep them in Rajoguna, because by nature we most of us are in Rajoguna, and by engaging simply more and more in physical service, we remain in Rajoguna. But along with that, if you are doing Shravanam Kirtanam, then slowly we will transcend Rajoguna and come to Sattva. But if you are not giving serious attention to Shravanam Kirtanam, we might just be doing something like devotional service activities, but it will be in the modes. Mm. So so one has to experience transcendental bliss by Shravanam Kirtanam. I see that my Guru Maharaj is on his Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. So every year he conducts Shravanam Kirtanam camp around his Vyasa Puja. So it's coming up in end of January. Um, And generally, I see the devotees who come, they can't sit for. Generally, it will be like 2 days of Shravanam Kirtanam, 1 day Vyas Puja, like that. Mm. Many devotees I've seen, they can't really sit and hear continuously for the whole day, because those 2 days will be just hearing and chanting Kirtanam, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Japa, all this. There's no other physical service. Uh, but because devotees are so used to just running around, they can't just sit and hear peacefully. They will just sleep. That means that sleeping is an indication of uh, lack of sattva. Mostly it's tamoguna, right? Why? Because they want rajas. If there is no rajas, then that mode goes down to tamoguna. It will not elevate. So the bliss derived from Shravanam Kirtanam cannot be compared to the happiness derived by karmis by elevating themselves to the heavenly planets, or by gnanis or yogis who enjoy oneness with the supreme impersonal Brahman. Yogis generally meditate upon the transcendental form of Vishnu, but devotees not only meditate upon him, but actually engage in the direct service. See, this is the difference. Yogis are meditating on the Supreme Lord, but what is the use of that meditation if that meditation doesn't translate into actual service? Mm, That is why these yogis also, they don't achieve anything significant, even though they're actually meditating on the transcendental form of Vishnu. And because they don't understand Vishnu's position, then they want to merge into Brahman again. How crazy. In the previous verse, we find the phrase bhavapyaya, which refers to birth and death. The Lord can give release from the chain of birth and death. It is misunderstanding to think, as do the monists, that when one gets relief from the process of birth and death, he merges into the Supreme Brahman. Here it is clearly said that the transcendental bliss derived from Shravanam Kirtanam by pure devotees cannot be compared to Brahmananda, or the impersonal conception of transcendental bliss derived by merging into the absolute. So this is Gnanis, Yogis. Now position of Karmis is still more degraded. Their aim is to elevate themselves to the higher planetary systems. It is said, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. Persons who worship the demigods are elevated to the heavenly planets. But elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, we find Chine Punyam Arthalokam Vishanti. Those who are elevated to the higher planetary systems must come down again as soon as the results of their pious activities are exhausted. They're like the modern astronauts who go to the moon. As soon as their fuel is used up, they're obliged to come back down to this earth. As the modern astronauts who go to the moon or other heavenly planets by force of jet propulsion have to come down again after exhausting their fuel, to also to those who are elevated to the heavenly planets by force of yagnas and pious activities. Antakasi lulitat, by the sword of time, one is cut from his exalted position within this material world, and he comes down again. Dhruva Maharaj appreciated that the results of devotional service are far more valuable than merging into the absolute, or being elevated to the heavenly planets. The words Patatam, Vimanat are very significant. Vimana means airplane. Those who are elevated to the heavenly planets are like airplanes which drop when they run out of fuel. Mm. So our only aim is should be to do devotional, to render devotional service to the Lord for His pleasure. And when He is pleased, we will experience this transcendental bliss. And that transcendental bliss is far beyond any other happiness, including Brahmananda. I'm repeating, when we engage in the service of the Lord for His pleasure, and when the Lord is actually pleased, or the Guru is actually pleased, then the devotee experiences transcendental bliss, and this is on the spiritual platform. And that bliss is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda. So we are not here to do devotional service for enjoyment. We are here for the Lord's enjoyment, for the Lord's pleasure. So we should never think of, did you enjoy kirtan, did you enjoy prasadam? Uh, Actually, this language only should be stopped. Sometimes we might ask newcomers, very newcomers into Krishna consciousness, did you like the program? Would you like to come again, like that? And that is just initially just to pull them, right, to understand their mindset, and if there is anything that we can do to help them come on to devotional service. But as we make progress in bhakti, this language should change. And this is the transcendental bliss. Vishayamini vartante niraharasya dehenha rasavarjam rasopyasya param dristvani vartate. So when this higher taste is experienced, then we will give up the lower taste. Okay, I'll stop here. Anybody has any comments, questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, like you've been often saying, and you like we say, we should not like it. It should be for the pleasure of the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord. But Prabhu, like I mean, till date, if you don't like the lecture, like so many times, and if you don't understand, then you I mean, I'm talking about myself. You don't want to sit in that particular lecture, or you don't want to listen to that particular person. We are so tuned to our liking, and in coming, and you are like one thing now, like I enjoy your classes to the atom. Like even 3 days, I'm so disturbed. Prabhu class, not that I'm not listening to other classes, but then that if that would kick nahi aata to Prabhu maza nahi. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm using that language. And another thing, Prabhu, like I find in my bhakti this thing. I mean, I know it's very this thing. According to the emotions you have, some days you're stressed or happy, it's very directly proportionate to your sadhana. Why is it?
Yeah. So yeah, see the okay. So liking something in bhakti. Okay. So this is not bad, but this is not the best. Okay. So so we when we come to Nishtha Bhakti, in Nishtha Bhakti there are two. There is one where we are fixed in devotional service based on the um, quality of the performance of devotional service. Like you said, like there is a quality that you are expecting in a class, in a kirtan, etc. And yes, if that is good, then you are okay to engage in devotional service, right? But otherwise, you say, "Ha, no, it's not." Okay, it's not the topmost platform, but it's not bad. It's better than not having any taste at all. Meaning whatever, however good or bad the class is or the kirtan is, I'm not interested. So that is very bad. And there are people who will keep doing chanting but don't have any liking to any kind of Shravanam Kirtanam. So that is very bad. But this is actually a pretty good platform. It's not the perfect or the highest, but it's we can say in the middle. It's in the middle platform, right? Where there is desire, there is liking for Shravanam Kirtanam, but there is a certain quality expected of Shravanam Kirtanam, which is okay, right? But as we make progress, we should be ready to hear maybe from anybody and everybody, because it is still glorification of the Supreme Lord. uh, but yes, it's okay, it will come in course of time. That's not a concern, it's not a concern. um, yes, this kick that you are talking about, yes, see the kick, if that kick can make you I'm also using this, in a, what should I say, slang. If it makes you kick yourself to make progress in bhakti, then that kick is good, right? Then that is the real kick that we want. The real kick that we want is us kicking ourselves, saying that, come on, move now, move forward. Mm. Right? It's okay. It's okay. Right? It's absolutely, it's that is that inspiration that we require to do bhakti, and wherever from whoever we are getting, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong in that, right? But when we do this hearing, we should come to the platform of saying, see, what is the concern is getting kick, but not translating that into pure devotional service, right? So after consistent hearing of those, of whatever that gives one kick in devotional service, one has to come to the platform, where he or she will start doing devotional service just for the pleasure of the Lord. Because otherwise that kick is not useful enough, right? Or maybe what that person is deriving kick out of is maybe just still material. For example, sometimes devotees might be hearing some classes which are all full of pastimes, and they're very, very happy. They're very, but they're getting kicked out of those pastimes. But it's not translating into anything meaningful on the devotional platform. Because it's actually not kicking us. It's not pushing us from our status quo, from our comfort zone. It's not pricking us. It's not pricking our consciousness. Then it is still purifying. It's still purifying, but it will take time. It will take time, because Bhagavatam says just by associating with topics of Krishna, we become pure. But it might take time. But along with that, if we can push ourselves a little bit, goad, that word goad, which is used for the elephant, right? Like prick slightly, and we can move slightly faster, then it's more beneficial. So it's not a disqualification, I would say. But ultimately, we have to come to the platform of doing devotional service just for the pleasure of the Lord. And Shravanam Kirtanam is most important, because that's what sets up the mindset for seva. Is that okay, Mataji? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. And what the other part of it, Prabhu? Like, why is sometimes my devotional service very
Yeah. So that one is, see, basically we are, uh,
like
I
it,
mean,
like
I'm,
the devotional service should not be disrupted, no, Prabhu.
yeah.
But why does it happen?
Yeah. So actually we have to just understand that we are what stage of bhakti we are in. So there is Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, then Nishtha. So in the stage of Nishtha, it is fixed. It doesn't depend on material conditions. So till we come to that stage of Nishtha, we are all at different stages of Anartha Nivritti. And yeah, so these stages, these are all anarthas actually in us. So it's called Utsaha Mahi, you know, Anatarala. So all of these things we discussed in Madhurya Kadambini. So you can hear those classes again. So basically it's all anarthas. Till these anarthas go, that steadiness will not come. And that is the stage of Nishtha. In the stage of Nishtha, we are steady. Nothing can shake us. Whatever, our material condition. We continue our devotional service. Of course, some uh, devotional activities we might not be able to perform. But that doesn't mean that we are, like, for example, if somebody is unwell, maybe they're not able to do 10, whatever, 10 hours of devotional service. Maybe they're able to do only 2 hours. But in their heart, they're hankering for getting back to the healthy condition so that they can resume everything. And of course, during that time, everything else is compensated by just continuous chanting, like that. So yeah, but the devotee will feel very bad that he or she is not able to do in that stage of nishtha, if at all there are any situations forcing the devotee. Uh, mm, so yeah, so anartha nivritti has to happen. And anartha nivriti is not going to happen by casual devotional service. Anartha nivriti requires jagadke, you know, like that vessel that has been, you cooked something and kept it without putting any water or anything 2 3 days. Not how difficult it is going to be to take out that, the whatever is stuck to the vessel or whatever it is, right? So it's like that. It requires a lot of effort. Tivrena bhakti yogena. When we do with tivra bhakti, then all the kachara will come out. You know? And yeah, then anartha nivriti, we go past anartha nivriti, then nishta, then you're fixed. No mood swings affecting devotional service. In fact, it will be the other way. Whatever mood swing, we come to devotion and then our mood stabilizes. And that is nishta.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Anything else?
Right.
Anybody? Hare Krishna. Any other thoughts? Anybody has any other questions? Okay, so we'll end here. Thank you very much for joining. Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bevacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti vaishnavandi ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
pranam.